to the product and sum. Now, then the example 4, basically the same thing. The only difference here is that we have y squared and xy in the middle instead of just the number or the x. However, it works exactly the same thing. Okay, it works exactly the same thing. So think of this way. Sometimes if you have x plus y and then 2x plus y, now this becomes 2x squared plus xy plus 2xy plus y squared, and then it becomes 2x squared plus 3xy plus y squared, correct? So if you have y squared and xy in your expanded form, in your factored form, you must have y's in the brackets, okay? So remember that part. Remember that part. Now, so then let's take a look at this one. So here we do not have any common factors. The first one is 18, 7, and 1 in the coefficient. There is no common factor for those three. The first one has x squared, second one has x. Okay, so far so good, but the last one doesn't even have x, so x is not the common ground either. The first one doesn't have y, whereas the rest of the two, so it's not a common factor either, so then we go straight. So then you're going to ask, so then what is the product? Well, the product is a times c, so it works in the same way. Now, c is the coefficient of the constant term, or the last term. So in this case is a being 18, b being negative 7, c being negative 1. Just remember a, b, and c are all numbers, not letters or variables, okay? So in this case, the product will be negative 18. Your sum, which is b, will be negative 7. So same thing goes over. Now this time I will actually shorten the process of it. It will be 9 negative with 2, so negative 9 and 2. Okay. So this process should be easy by now, or somewhat more fluent than before. So then we have 18x squared, and then you break this 7 or negative 7xy, so that becomes negative 9xy. Remember, the variables basically just follow. Now plus 2xy minus y squared. Now rest of the process is basically the same. You pair these two, so then you find the common factor. So 18 and 9, the common factor is 9. The first one has the x squared, second one has the x as well, so it will be just an x. Now the first term does not have y, so y is not part of it. So then we have 9x as the greatest common factor of 18x squared minus 9xy. So then 18x squared divided by 9x, which is 2x. Then negative 9xy divided by 9x is negative 1y. I will fix that 1 later on. I'm just writing it to show you where that 9 goes. Then we have plus right after that, so we're just going to put plus. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pair these two, and we're going to do the common factoring. So then 2 is the coefficient of the third term, or the first term of this second pair. And the negative 1 is the coefficient of the last term. There is no common factor to it. Whereas the first, or the third one, or the first of the pair has the y, and second one, or the last term, also has the y, so it will be just y. Then 2x divided by, 2xy divided by y gives me 2x. Now then negative 1y squared divided by positive 1y gives me negative 1y. Now hopefully you see that. What's inside of the brackets are the same. So what we can do is then we take them out as we are doing the common factors. Now in this case I didn't write the 1 because we don't really need to write 1. Why? If it is, well, if the coefficient is 1, we don't really write the 1, right? And then the second brackets will be 9x plus y. And that's it pretty much. Okay, so exactly the same thing. Just don't panic if you see y squared or some other squared. You basically use that variable. So I want you to try, let's say, example 5 on your own, and then example 6 on your own. See whether you can do this. However, example 6 is a little tricky because we have the common factorings, right? We have the common factorings here. We have the greatest common factor of 3. So then we started off with 3x squared minus 4xy minus 12y squared, right? So in this case, I will actually record it in the video, but I want you to pause the video and I want you to actually try it first. and then compare your answer to mine. So pause it and then try. Hopefully you paused it. So in this case, our product is then negative 12. Now remember, your A in this case is 1, your B is negative 4, your C is negative 12. We only take care of what's inside of the brackets in this case right after the common factoring. We do not include the 3 in our A, B, or C. Okay, so please don't forget. Now, our sum then is going to be negative 4. So then two numbers. And then in this case will be negative 6 and 2, negative 6 and 2. Now, how can I do this so fast? Well, remember this. I've done this thousands of times. Okay, so if you do a lot, then it comes to you. Now, remember this. Understanding is important, but at the same time, practice and repetition is important as well because it does build the bridge in our synapses in our brain. Okay, so the more you practice, the stronger the synapses gets, the less chance that you will forget or you will make a mistake. So please practice it even though you understand this method. Okay, so then in this case I have 3. Now I'm going to start writing in red. Then I have x squared minus 6xy. Now the reason again why xy is because we have xy over here. So then plus 2xy minus 12y squared, and then close the brackets. Not the color, red color. So then equals 3. So again, you pair these two up. So x is the common factor, and then it will be x minus 6y. Now since this is plus over there, you start off with a plus and then do the same thing. So see that I included that plus as the part of the second pair. So then it will be 2y. So it will be x minus then 6y again. Okay. If you're not sure how I got this, then you really have to practice more. Now see that 2xy divided by 2y. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Y divided by y is also 1 over gone. So then only thing that I have left is then the x. So that's where the x comes from. Negative 12 divided by 2 gives me negative 6. Y squared divided by y gives me just a y. So then hopefully you notice immediately that we have the same two terms or binomial in the brackets, the very inside the brackets. So your final answer will be 3 x minus 6y, and then x plus 2y. And then we're done, right? So as you can see, we have the y squared and y in our question. That means that in your factored form, you must have y's in the brackets as well. Okay. Some of you may ask me, does it happen all the time? Not necessarily. Okay. Oops. Not necessarily. If you do not have a square at the end, then it won't happen, okay? It won't happen. So if you don't have a square at the end with a y, it won't happen. So be really, really, really careful with this, okay? So hopefully you understand how to do this with another variable introduced in the question. Again, the rule, the procedure, process, exactly the same as before. Number gets a little bigger. Just be careful with the common factoring to begin with. Then you should be fine. Okay, so this will take a lot of practice. So I want you to practice a lot. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys on Friday. Okay, bye. Oh, by the way, the ones who have not written the quiz, you will write the quiz on Wednesday in lunchtime. Come to room 101 at the beginning of the lunch. I will wait for you and then start the quiz at 40. If you do not come by 40, that means you're losing that much of time. If you do not show up, that means you're getting 0, unless I have a medical notes or parents notes explaining why you weren't there on that day. Okay, all right, bye guys.